Hello, everyone. This is where we stopped in our live class yesterday, and I just wanted to go back and continue this lesson for you. So we stopped at question number 2, as you can see here, and I was saying that we need to find a pattern that looks like this. Starts with new revision, colon, and then some sort of a number. And it's asking us that we need to use regular expression and the find all method. And then once we do that, we need to capture the number that shows up here after the new revision. And we need to add all these numbers up and then find the average of these numbers. So that's pretty much our goal. And we need to do that using the mbox.txt file as well as the mbox-short.txt file. If you click on this link here, it's going to open up the file for us. But what I want you to do also is I need you to download the file and then upload it to your Google Drive. So for example, let's see what we're looking for. There we go. So you can see here, there is this new revision. So there are going to be so many new revisions with number after it. And again, this is a huge, huge file. So regular expression is going to help us to go through all this file line by line, find this new revision number line, capture that specific number here, and add it to a list, add it to a list, add it to a list. And once we're done, we're going to take all these numbers and find the average of all these numbers that we collected. So first of all, you just make sure that you download these files. And the way to do it is you can just right click on the file and then say download linked file. Okay, so that's going to download it to your computer. Now, once you have it in your computer, you need to upload it to your drive so we could mount your Google Drive here. And the way to do that is you can open up a new window, and then you can go to let's see, Google My Drive, and here drive.google.com, just click on it. And again, if you're already logged in as I am up here, you can see I'm logged in to my Gmail account. Then it's going to take you straight to my drive, which is your drive, and just upload the file to whichever directory structure you want to use. I basically just dump the file right into the main folder. So you can see I have mbox and I have mbox-short. So just make sure that these files are there, and of course make sure that they are the correct files and they have the correct content in it. All right, so from here, and also make sure that you mount your Google Drive, because if you don't, it's going to say file not found. All right, so this is the code that is going to do what the instruction is telling us to do. We have to prompt the user with some sort of an input field. The user is going to type mbox.txt, hit enter, and then they're going to get the average from the mbox file. Then we have to run it again, and then type the other file's name, which is mbox-short, and then hit enter, and then we're going to get this number. So the code basically is that we always start with an import RE, which is, again, Python doesn't have the built-in functionality for regular expression, so we have to import that library. We're going to start with an input statement so we can capture something from the user, and we're going to, as it says up here, enter file. So I'm typing enter file, and I'm going to put this input into a variable called file name. Then we need to open that file, whichever that file that the user entered. We're going to open up that file again. It's because I know where it is, and this might be different in your example, depending on where you put your file, of course. And then we need to create a number list. Well, I created a new variable called numList, and basically because whatever gets returned is going to be placed into a list. And every time we capture a value, we need to append it to the list. So the list is going to keep growing until when it's done, the for loop is done. Then we're going to calculate the average for all these items in our list. So I start a for loop, again looking for line by line in the file path, which is this. Again, make sure that the path is correct. I strip everything at the end of the file. I strip everything at the end of the line. And then I call the regular expression find all function. It's a built-in function in the regular expression library. And I'm looking for this pattern. Something, the caret means start with. So a line that starts with new revision colon space, and then the parentheses here basically say this is what you need to capture. So out of all this line, I just need to capture whatever is inside the parentheses. And again, if we go to our cheat sheet, parentheses here, you can see what it says here. Oops, I can't highlight correctly, but the opening parenthesis says indicates where a string extraction is to start. And again, I want to extract that value. And then the close parentheses indicates where the string execution is to end. So that's where the parentheses come in. And then this block of code or this block of strings basically says any number from 0 to 9. So it could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I only want to look for numbers. I don't want to look for letters. And then the plus sign basically means repeats a character one or more times. So I am looking for any number from 0 to 9 that could be one number or it could be more. It could be 1, 2, 5, 50, 29, whatever numbers you find after the new revision colon space, and only capture what's in the parentheses. So we're only going to capture the number part. Okay, so that's my find all. Now, if I do find something, so this statement here basically says if, again, bingo is my variable that I'm going to set to if anything is found. So if the length of bingo, again, the length of the list. So this find all will be returning to us a list. And again, it's every line. So every line it's going to check. If it finds something, it's going to put it in a list. So it's only going to be one item. Okay, just understand that part because I'm going line by line. So it's this if statement basically says if the list is empty, basically continue. Just go to the next line. I could also change this code and basically say if the list equals 0. Okay. Now I did the not equal to 1 because I know that my list, if it's empty, means nothing is there, of course. But if it has something, it's going to equal to one item. Because why one item? Because I already know my file that every line is going to show, if it finds anything, it's going to find just one item. So it's up to you. Again, in programming, sometimes logic can be written in different ways. So you can say it does not equal to 1, the length of the list, or you can say equals to 0. Now, if it does, I want you to continue. What do you mean continue? It means continue to the next line. All right. Now, the next line in the file, continue to the next line in the file, not continue and go to here. Okay. Now, then I say, well, okay, if once I do find something, it's always going to be, because I know it's only one item that's going to be found per line, I want you to basically, I'm going to capture it by calling the bingo index 0, because it's the only one item in the list so far. Now I'm going to convert it to an int because I need to do some calculation to it at the end because I'm calculating the average. So I want to make sure that it's an int because list items are string items. So I can't do an average calculation on a string item. So I have to convert it into an int, okay, which is integer. Then I put that into a num variable, called it num, and then still within the for loop, I'm going to take my num list, which I created up here, which is blank. Then I'm going to append to it whatever I just captured the num value. Okay, so I'm basically, I have a list, it's blank. With every for loop that I do, line by line, if I do find something, I'm going to put it in the num variable. The num variable is going to be used to add to the num list. So my num list is going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing every time it finds a pattern that matches this regular expression. Okay, and it's going to loop and loop and loop and loop all through the file. Once it's done, then it's going to exit the loop and then go into this next line. So this next line is what calculates the average. And basically, the mathematical calculation for an average is you take all the items, add them up, and then divide it by the number of items. So that's what I did here. I basically took the sum of my num list, which again is the list that gets appended to it every time I find something, and then divided by the length of the num list, which is the count of how many items are in my num list. And after that, I basically print it out and print out my average. Okay, so let's give that a try. Now, don't forget that we have to mount our Google Drive. So I'm going to run this one here. And this is because it's the first time I run it, it's still initializing and giving me all the resources that I need. All right, let's take these permissions. I'm going to say connect, choose my account, scroll down and allow. Okay, so now it's mounted. All right. I need to run the code for question number 2, so let's not confuse ourselves here. All right, so let's run that and see what happens. Okay, enter file, so far so good, mbox.txt, and then hit enter. All right, so we have a success. So this looks exactly like this. So that means we're good. Now let me run it again. Again, shortcut on your keyboard is Command Return. Asking me to enter a file. I'm going to enter box-short.txt, hit enter, and it returns a number, and that's exactly the same number. All right, so this is how we do question number 2. All right, so question number 3. It's saying modify the # to find sequences with one uppercase letter, followed by an underscore, followed by one or more lowercase letters. All right, so what it's asking us to do is use this code as it is, but just modify these hashes to do what it's asking us to do up here. All right, so all you have to do is just basically copy this code, create a new, well, here, let me just show you how we do it. Copy this code, come down here, add a new code cell, and then just paste it. And then start to edit these pound signs. So this is something RE. So this would be import RE. Okay. And then down here, it's we need to modify or replace the hashtags with, again, what they're asking us to do. So it said, find a sequence with one uppercase letter, followed by an underscore, followed by one upper lowercase letter, one or more uppercase letter. So, well, we can just follow the code that I have here. Any code, any letter, uppercase means A-Z. Okay, and again, if we look at our cheat sheet, you can see here, for example, the set of characters can include a range. So again, this could be lowercase A to Z, and also all the numbers. So that's what we're doing here, but specifically for capital letters. So I'm going to modify the hashtag to be A-Z, meaning anything, any letter from A to Z, capital, and then underscore, and then followed by lowercase letters, so A-Z, and then the plus sign, meaning, again, if you forgot, just go back here, it says it repeats a character one or more times. And that's exactly what it's asking us for here, followed by one or more lowercase letters, okay? And let's see what else needs to be changed. Okay, so there's still another triple hash here that we need to modify. And again, since this is an if statement, oh, I forgot about here. I'll come to that in a moment. Since we're an if statement, then this has to be the else part of the statement. So modify this to else. Okay, all right, now back to this triple hash. Remember before, the search function of a regular expression needs at least two parameters, and as you can see here, what popped up is there is a pattern, comma, string, comma, flag is equals to 0. So the first one is required, the second one is required, and then the third one, which is the flag, that's not really required, it's optional. So this is the pattern part. Now we have to type in the pattern that we need to look up. Now we already defined our pattern and set it equal to a variable called pattern. So all I have to do here is just copy this pattern or copy this variable name and paste it here. Okay, So any more hashes? No, that's basically it. So now if you run this, see what happens. I got it not matched. So, well, I didn't explain, I guess, this sentence here. We're trying to print the name of the function, which is text match. Again, this is the definition of a function. This is the function name. And we're passing it some sort of a string. So this string gets passed up to here into the text, and then it gets used in this function. And where does it get used? It gets used here. So basically, well, what this function is doing is it's taking whatever you are passing in the argument, and then tries to compare it, see if the pattern here matches it or not. If it matches it, then we say found a match. If it doesn't match it, we say not matched. All right, so let's do a few more tests. Well, first, the small a b underscore small c b b b c did not match. Why? Because our pattern says it needs to have capital letter, comma, underscore, any one or more small letters. And since this this value starts with a small letter, then it's not going to be matched. But if I change this to a capital V, for example, and then run it, it still does not match. Now the reason is because I'm only looking for one letter here, okay? And now I have more than one letter. So if I erase this, and now I run it again, now I get a found match because the pattern says only one letter, followed by an underscore, followed by one or more small letter. Okay, so one capital letter, underscore, followed by one or more small letters. So if I change this, well, if I change any of this to a capital letter, okay, this should also match. And the reason is because the plus sign here says one or more. And here we already have one small letter. Actually, we have one small letter, two small letters, 3 and 4, but we have a capital in the middle, but at least we have one, so that's why it matches. Now, if I change this to a capital letter and then hit this, we get a not matched. Why? Because after the underscore, we have a capital letter, and this doesn't match our pattern, which says at least one or more small letter. Okay, so if I do a small letter now, run it, I don't have a match because, again, the order of things. If I switch it around, a capital G, and run it, now I get a match, okay? Because at least right after the underscore, there is a small letter, okay? So play around with it and see what comes up. All right, now question number 4 is the last one in this in-class assignment. Basically, it's saying, define a function match4. So we can need to write a function called match4 that takes a string value, all right, so just one value, and then uses a regular expression to return true if the string starts with a 4, followed by 0 to many other digits, and false if it does not. Okay, so basically, if the number that we pass it to the function is 45, should be true. If we give it 29, should be false. All right. So here's the code to do that. Again, we have an import RE statement. Should be familiar with that by now. We start with def because we're defining a function, and the name, as we were told, is match4, and it should take one string value. I just called it some value. You can call it anything you want. The pattern that we're looking for, again, this is the important part. We need to find something that matches starting with a 4, followed by any number 0 or more. Now, just to understand, I could have a 4, and that would work, but the star basically means I don't have to have anything after it, because what a star means repeats a character 0 or more times. So 0 means it doesn't have to be there, but if there is, it's also acceptable. Now that's the difference between a star and a plus. The plus says you have to have at least one, okay, or more times, while the star says 0 or more times, okay? So 4 should work if I pass it because it starts with a 4 and nothing comes after it, all right? Now, even though it says it should be a digit, if I say for A, even though A is not a number, it still will work because of the star. Star says it could be 0, it could be nothing, or it could be more, all right? More meaning a number. So it could be no number. So an A is a no number, and then it could be repeated. So I'm going to do an if statement that does a search. And again, it takes two parameters, the pattern and what I'm checking against. So my pattern is, again, caret, because it has to start with a 4, followed by, or not followed by, a number or more numbers. That's what the star does. Okay, so I'm going to search the pattern using whatever some value that I pass here, because this is how I call the function match4. Then I'm going to print it out. I'm going to print out the return value. It's either true if it finds something, or I'm going to return a false if it doesn't find anything. Okay, so let's just start with the basics. I'm going to look for 4. I'm going to run it, and it should return a true. Correct. Why? Because it does match this pattern. It does start with a 4, followed by nothing or a number. Okay, and right now it doesn't have anything. So if I do for F, some sort of a letter, and I run it, I still get true. Why? Because this star thing, the star says it could be nothing or it could be a number repeated many times. All right. But if I start my value with a letter, or forget a letter, I can start with a number and then run it, that should be false now. Why? Because it does not start. Caret means start. It does not start with a 4. Okay. So that's basically it. Now, what I would like you to do, please, once you're done playing with it and having all the code correct and working for you, please do as it says down here, which is save the file using the last name underscore first name and so on, and then download it to your, then download it to your computer, and then upload it to the submission area. Okay. If you have any questions, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions in a timely manner. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in our next class. Bye for now.